So yesterday, Alabama saw countless players enter the transfer portal following their loss to Michigan in the Rose Bowl. And these were names of prominence, such as Chase McLaughlin and other guys that are up and comers like Eli Holstein. But a lot of people started to wonder on Twitter, what's going on in Tuscaloosa? Is Nick Saban about ready to retire? Could potentially we see the NIL collective be barren compared to other SEC schools? Is the ambiance surrounding Tuscaloosa no longer as bright and beaming as it once was? None of that is true, and we'll get to that in a moment. But if you are new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, plus anything going on with coaching searches, national championship news, power rankings, and a bunch of other nonsense, we are adding more to this channel, including live shows. We got a backdrop that just came in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on Alabama's success going into 2024. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of bros, college football aficionado fans, and Alabama faithful everywhere about this channel, because we are on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Give me a follow on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. Okay. So Alabama loses, if I'm not mistaken at this point, 11 players via the portal, and that number will continuously grow. And in large part, it's due to the fact of they didn't have to make the decision. Let me get this out of the way. There is a 30-day window for players to enter the portal once the regular season ends. However, you are given a buyout if you are in the playoff or a New Year's Six bowl game. You get extended time. Not a lot, but just like when it comes to your your NFL draft destination date, the same thing goes on for some of these players. And for a lot of names that do end up leaving Tuscaloosa, they actually have already made it known that they are probably leaving Alabama at the end of the season. They just want to be a part of something expected and victorious like a college football playoff. And unfortunately, for some players, it's a little bit different. So Malik Murphy is a great example of this. Murphy played in 2 games this past year and wants to guarantee he will at least be gunning for the starting job at a new university. So he leaves Texas early because if he wants that opportunity to make sure QB1 is attached to his name. Lo and behold, he goes to Duke. I think it's a good fit for Manny Diaz. I think it's a great fit for Durham. I think it's a great fit for Murphy. But I digress in the situation. Some of these guys are not going to be plug-and-play starters. But what you do know is that a lot of these guys are having the end-of-year meetings with their position coaches and with Coach Saban and with the offense coordinator and defense coordinator. And they lay it out there. They tell it like it is, just like I tell you guys like it is and like I do on my radio show, just saying it because of I'm just saying it. You got to let them know where they stand on the depth chart. Because what's the point of coming back for 2 more years if you want to play? What's the point of coming back for another season and move down the depth chart as more players from a top 5 recruiting class come on in and take your position away from you? So it's transparent conversations. Everyone has an opinion and everyone has an idea of where they stand. Hey, we appreciate what you did for us this past year. We love how intensified you are in practice. But right now, we view you probably better as a second string, and you're probably not moving up on the depth chart because of the freshman that's coming in. We think that it's best for you to enter the portal. If you want to come back and fight, all the power to you, but we're not promising you anything. And a lot of great programs do this. And the reason they do this is because of they have the ability to bring in plug-and-play starters or proven commodities that are just as good, if not better, the next season. It happens on a countless spectrum. It's always continuously spinning. And universities like Alabama, universities like Georgia, I would throw Ohio State into the mix, Michigan into the mix. They'll go out of their way and they'll tell players, hey, you're good, but this is what we think is best for you. And if they want to stick around and fight and compete and go up against the best, more power to them. And if I'm Nick Saban and I see that kid actually improving in practice, I sign him up and I want to see what he's worked with the first team. But I also have to look at the entire grand spectrum of my roster. And this includes new kids coming in. So perfect example would be Eli Holstein. Holstein wasn't really the first pick for Alabama. Alabama ends up stealing Eli Holstein at the last second. He decommits from Texas A&M, goes to Alabama, and now they got Julian Sayin coming in. And Julian Sayin is going to be eventually, more than likely, I would say, the future face of Alabama football. And if it comes next season, like Jalen Milroe, 1 more year, swan song performance, leads Alabama back to the playoff, and then you move to Julian Sayin, Eli Holstein is wasting a year where he could potentially fight for starting reps at Georgia Tech or Georgia Southern or Tulane or Cincinnati or another program that will benefit him and eventually let him transfer back to a Power 5 school. And the same thing goes with Chase McLaughlin, who, by the way, I think he needed to transfer, just plain and simple. The backlash he would have received in Tuscaloosa from the rabid fans, and trust me, I know this fan base like the back of my hand because I have family in this fan base, and I went to the university, so I understand what goes on in Titletown in horrendous place. It was best for him to leave the university. It seems like he's going to go to Ohio State. Pretty good fit. They know how to build offensive linemen there. He gains his confidence back in. But you also have to realize that there is a finite level of when players leave. You have a certain number of scholarships that you're allowed to hand out, and you still have to go in via the transfer portal. Everyone forgets Alabama, throughout the entire process of planning for Michigan, was also on the phone, dialing up players. Hey, we really like your fit. Do you want to come be a part of something special in Tuscaloosa? And Trey Moore was one from UTSA. He went to Texas. Andrew Mbuka was one from Clemson. He went to Texas. There have been countless receivers that have been mentioned. I believe Julian Fleming was on the radar. He went to Penn State. So now they have to fortify their roster with what they're bringing in via the portal, what they're bringing in via recruiting, and what they're losing in the NFL draft and through the portal to build a roster for next season. There is not a culture problem in Texas at Alabama. There's not a single one. Alabama does things their way, and their way works 9 times out of 10. And if you don't believe me, look at the national titles underneath Nick Saban. Look at the college football playoff appearances underneath Nick Saban. Look at the conference titles underneath Nick Saban. The way he builds things works to a T. And so as long as he's running the show and he is not leaving this year, it feels like Alabama will be secure. And Alabama's Ala-freaking-Bama. They always go out of their way to land 5-star talents. They lose a 5-star wide receiver. A freshman with another year of eligibility is waiting in the wings. They lose a premier pass rusher to the NFL draft. A transfer is waiting in line to hopefully come on up and strap it up in Bryant-Denny Stadium. That's Alabama. And it's Georgia. And it's Michigan. And it's Ohio State. And it's these prominent programs that go out of their way to lose talent. And they kind of just shrug it off. Like, it is what it is. We get it. We wish you the best. Hopefully, our paths cross in the near future. No hard feelings. That's the way Nick Saban runs things. So when you see players from Alabama, when you see players from Georgia, I'll throw maybe even if you wanted to, like an outside team like Texas now, the way that they lose players in the portal, they don't worry about it as much because of what's coming in. And sometimes, great words of Barney Stinson, new is always better. Doesn't always happen that way, but for Alabama, with another top 3 recruiting class, with what they're bringing in via the portal, hopefully, and what they need to do to finite their roster, that way the faults in Pasadena don't come back in 2024. That builds you something for success. I think Alabama's in a great spot, even though they are losing a ton of players. Guess what? Wash, rinse, repeat. The Tide will be back in the college football playoff in 2024. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.